You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of noise.
Oh, baby!
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes, but not in Granite Falls. We are in West St. Paul, people, for us. And I think, offensively, I wouldn't be too shocked if we score a lot of points. And that's kind of yeah, exactly. We hope so. And, offensively, Jefferson, solid. Cousins is going to be fine, I think. Against this Green Bay defense, Jair Alexander, I think, obviously a guy to watch out for. He's a ball hawk. He's going to, try and get a hold of an interception or two, force a turnover, things like that. Rashawn Gary's a pretty good defensive end. I think that the reason why that Green Bay kind of let go of Zadarius Smith was because the emergence of him. You still have Preston Smith, no more Smith brothers, so you have that going for you. But
thank goodness.
So I think there's a lot. I think there's the matchups. I think we match up well. The question is how you're going to do. I mean, this is a different. 12 is going to be looking at, and that's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be looking at a different defense from the Minnesota Vikings. This isn't Mike Zimmer. This isn't 4-3. This isn't attacking 4-3 anymore. This is the Minnesota Vikings 3-4 defense now. This is Ed Donatel and whatnot. And I think offensively, I think for the Packers, I don't think they match up well. I think they could get us with the running game with Aaron Jones. That could be a problem, Voldy. I could foresee that being a problem. But I think they can handle it at this point, especially with the guys they have up front with Dalvin Tomlinson, Harrison Phillips, and whatnot. And Eric Kendricks is going to be fine. Hicks, who we signed in the offseason, I think he's going to be solid as well. But this is a good matchup. I think this is going to show what the Vikings are going to look like, and I still stand by my statement of the Vikings winning the NFC North, beating out Green Bay. So we're going to stick with that. So there's a ton of storylines. One of them, of course, Aaron Rodgers and whatnot. But I think there's another big headline. This just came out today. Zadarius Smith says he signed with the Vikings so he could play the Packers twice a year. He says that he was treated bad. Oof. Ugh. I don't know how good he feels about that for a second there. Because originally he was going to go to Baltimore, but then ended up coming with the Minnesota Vikings. And so this is what he said. Let's just quick go to the quote here, Voldy and Zoners. He said, walking past me, not saying nothing. Z, how's your back doing? There was none of that, said Zadarius. As you can see, the ad's on to why I'm on the other side, so I can go back. I can go back 2 times a year. I put my back on the effing line. I put everything, and year 3 was treated bad. That's why I'm here now, so I can play them twice a year. Ooh, that's saying a lot. Voldy, what are your thoughts on that?
I can see why he has a little bit of malice on that, too, because of the fact that, there were question marks. He had to have surgery in the offseason, and, basically they lost him for the year. And when he was able to come back, wasn't quite fully the same player, and they thought that they invested a guy that was going to be the future of the franchise, and especially him coming over from Baltimore, pretty good in the years that he was there, certainly were a big factor to their success. Comes over to Green Bay, another big factor to their success defensively with the Smith brothers, him and Preston Smith. And, well, it showed to the fact that when he was injured, they were a little bit of a less of a team, but they weren't going to be concerned or weren't going to put full investment into a guy that maybe they were going to lose again to another back injury and possibly lose for another season after giving him millions of dollars. And I can see why he's pissed about that and siding with a team that's going to play Green Bay twice a year. I know that we're happy because it would happen to be the Vikings. Heaven forbid if it was the Lions or the Bears. But it comes to our benefit once again that he's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to show Green Bay, to show the front office, and especially his opposing team and head coach that he can still play. Everything fully rested, full off season in. He's out there, and he's going to go out there, and he's going to hurt somebody. And I hope that he does, and happens to be Aaron Rodgers to the fact that, well, maybe not full injure, but, slow him down a little bit. Just slow him down a little bit.
Just don't let him get into a rhythm. That's basically what we're getting at here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just slow down Aaron Rodgers. You get pressure on him. I think the Vikings defense got it in the bag at that point.
I hope so. Fingers crossed, as we like to say. But so I think what I think of his comments, and zoners, you can chime in too. Let us know. It's Green Bay. I feel like was. I think they've kind of moved on from like the honeymoon with Zadarius Smith was great, right? Everything's good. He's playing at a high level. He was a Viking killer. Let's be honest. I mean, seeing Riley Reif get destroyed almost every play would drive me nuts, or whoever was at left tackle. But now that he's on our side here. And from what I've been hearing at training camp too, I mean, just dominating all-pro left tackle in none other than Trent Williams. Mm-hmm. And if he's doing that and he's causing a lot of havoc, him and Daniil, if they are healthy, I'm telling you, teams are going to fear that front line. Honestly, if they are healthy, they will be solid. It helps the back end out with Pat Pete, Cameron Dantzler, and Shandon Sullivan. Don't forget about him too. But as the depth chart has come out, you'd think, oh, is Lewis Cine going to start? Probably not. You do have Cam Bynum. I think you got to like what you've seen from Cam Bynum so far. And I think he's deserved of the role because, especially the way he played. Towards the end of the season. So I like that for one. But with Zadarius, I think they're kind of more Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith. The Smith brothers or whatever, that's done. That's dead. They're on to Cincinnati on that one, as we'd like to say. Mm-hmm. So in this instance, I'd probably say that he made the right decision, not going back to Baltimore and coming to the Minnesota Vikings, and having them playing Green Bay twice is something that the Packers might deeply, deeply regret, and I'd like to see that happen. So, Voldy, I think we've reached the point in the show, especially going over this whole game, where I think we need to make a prediction here. Week 1, this is probably a spoiler alert for all our pick'em people, but that's okay. That's okay. Because we want to make sure that you guys are enjoying it as much as we are. But, I think people kind of know where we're leaning. But, Voldy, why don't you start us off here? Give us who's going to win and give us the score, please. Go ahead.
If I'm going to pick a team that's going to win, it's going to be in the Minnesota Vikings. Final score will be, we'll go 28-17.
28-17. That's a bold prediction there, Voldy. I hate, every time we do this, it's like, of course you're going to lean towards the Vikings. That's what's going to happen. The X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at the matchups right now, if someone has to emerge from that wide receiving core, I don't fear Alan Lazard. I don't fear Randall Cobb. I don't fear Christian Watson. No offense. I mean, it'll be his first game. Hopefully he progresses. But the run game could be a problem. I think that is very possible. That run game could be a problem with Aaron Jones if we haven't fixed that, because it'll be a long day. But here's what I'm going to say. The Vikings are going to win 31-27. And the reason why I say that is because this is going to be a game where Green Bay is going to try to run it. And because you look at where the weak points are, right? You got to try and slow Zadarius down and Daniil down, so you're going to hand it off to 33 or A.J. Dillon. So I think that's a possibility. But I think as we get in towards the game, offensively, I think Jefferson's going to have a day and Thielen's going to have a day. Who is the cornerback after Jair Alexander? Do we even know? I don't think so.
I don't know.
So we're going to move on. I think the Vikings are going to win 31-27. I think Kirk Cousins is going to sling a couple touchdowns. I think Dalvin is going to have a good game. Watch out sneakily from Kene, Alexander Madison. I think there's going to be a little mix in there, which I think you will like. We're going to expect all passing all the time. Not necessarily. I don't think that we can say that at this point because we haven't seen what's going on. But I am so pumped. I am so intrigued to see how this will go. But I'm standing by it, man. 31-27, purple. It's not going to come down to like a field goal or anything. I think what's going to happen is the Vikings are going to score the go-ahead touchdown, and then the Vikings are going to be able to close it out in the end against Green Bay. Force Rodgers to throw, and then all of a sudden you expose what they don't have, is Devontae Adams. So I think that's what it's going to come down to. But if they run the ball well and we can't pick up on that, we're in trouble. So I'll put it like that, and hopefully we can pull off a victory, Voldy. I'm feeling confident. So we'll stick to that. But like we said, do your pick'ems. It's going to be fun.
Do it.
You have till tomorrow. You still might have a good chance if you miss the Thursday night. But why would you miss the Thursday night game?
Don't miss the Thursday night. Do the whole week.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, just make sure you do what you need to do. That's all we want to say. So anyway, we're sticking with NFL because usually around this time, Voldy, we do a little bit of Infinity rankings, and last time I did Infinity rankings with preseason, I did have Green Bay in there. Do I have them in there again? That is the big question. Probably not, but we'll get to that. There's a lot of shuffling. And I'm curious to what your thoughts are. I'm curious to what the zoners' thoughts are. So we'll see what happens. Let's get it going with some Infinity rankings.
While many have power rankings, none have captured them all. It's time for Matty C's Infinity Rankings.
All right, it is time for Infinity Rankings, and we're doing something a little different here, folks. I don't have the graphic that I usually use, but we're doing something a little bit different. I think this is kind of cool. So now, instead of me giving you everything, just every single team, now we're going to have from 6 to 1, just slide in and slide out. It's going to be pretty slick. So
slide in.
This is going to be, if you're sliding into DMs, here's the way to do it. No. Let's get going with our first team. So at number 6, there's a lot of, Voldy, there's a lot of worthy teams. I will say that. But I feel like I need to give this team respect. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs at number 6.
Yep.
So the Kansas City Chiefs at number 6, I think that's respectable. You still have Showtime Mahomes. Yes, you lose Tyreek Hill. Yes, you lose one of your top guys. But then you add Juju Smith-Schuster. You add MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Jerick McKinnon's still there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, is going to have a bounce-back year. I'm just saying, don't sleep on Travis Kelce, for goodness sakes. I mean, don't sleep on the Chiefs. I mean, honestly. I mean, Andy Reid is a offensive guru, and I think they'll be able to turn some heads here and still, be within those top-tier teams. I think there's going to be a lot of growing pains, though. So I will say with the Kansas City Chiefs, you got to watch out because defensively, I'm not impressed. I'm not going to lie. Defensively, I have a hard time seeing them keep up with a lot of these teams. So that's why I have the Chiefs at number 6. All right, let's move on to number 5. Now, Voldy, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the reason why I have them at 5 is because, well, obviously they lose to a solid team this past year with the LA Rams. They almost came back and won against the LA Rams. So I'm giving them the 5 spot just because I think with Tom being back, and I know he missed some camp and all that, but to be honest, it's Tom Brady, not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So offensively, they're set. Besides that line, I do worry about their offensive line with all these injuries happening left and right. But the next thing that I would worry about is their defense. They had a lot of cornerbacks come in and out. Shoot, they had an old carcass of Richard Sherman, for goodness sakes. So there's that to factor in too, Voldy and Zoners. It's just it's hard for me to believe that their back half is going to be okay. I mean, their defensive line, Barrett is great. Vita Vea's in there. Levante David, Devin White. They'll be fine from that, but I worry about the back end. Yes, you have Antoine Winfield Jr., 6-year Golden Gopher, as we like to say. But Tampa Bay, number 5.
You mean on the 9-year eligibility plan?
Yep. Him and Mo Ibrahim.
Antoine.
And by the way, shout out to the Gophers winning, beating Jerry Kill, shutting them out. That was cool. All right, back to Infinity Rankings. This one, I think people are going to kind of scratch their head because there's a lot of unproven things, but I feel like they have enough there, especially with this weird offseason they had. The San Francisco 49ers. Now, why do I have the 49ers at 4? Well, I got to give credit where credit is due because last season, a lot of people kind of counting them out in the playoffs because, well, you got to go up against Aaron Rodgers. He's on his revenge tour. They went in there with Jimmy Garoppolo and beat Green Bay. They almost beat LA again, but again, LA was just too damn good at the time. So you have Trey Lance coming. And I think we like what we see from Lance. Yes, we know he's just from Marshall. We went to SMSU. There's a connection there. But still, I think that offense is going to be humming. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel's back, Brandon Ayuk. I mean, they always find a way to run the ball with no-name running backs. Remember Raheem Mostert? I mean, they have running backs that you never think that they'd be successful, but Kyle Shanahan just finds a way, man. I don't know how he does it, but defensively they're solid usually all the time. Their front end, Fred Warner leading that defense, they're solid, man. I got to give them credit where credit is due, so I'm putting them at 4. All right, let's move on to number 3, and I think this is very worthy, I'd say. The Cincinnati Bengals. Now, you're probably wondering why aren't they in the 2 spot? Why aren't they in 1? It's like, but we all have to remember, too, that was this just a Cinderella story? Was this just, no one knew what they would look like? No, they're actually that good. You have 3 solid wide receivers, or actually really good, with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Joe Mixon was on a tear running the ball last year, so that's a lot of they're going to rack that up. Defensively, they've added some, they have some depth. I think the Eli Apple thing, I'm still kind of shaking my head on that. I don't know why he's still with Cincinnati, but they have the pass rusher. They have Hendrickson. He's pretty solid. And I like the way that they're built defensively, but let's not forget, Joe Burrow or as we say, Joe Burrow, he got sacked a lot in those playoffs, and they did address the offensive line, which they should. They should. Even if they did win the Super Bowl, I would, Riley Reif is at, I think, right tackle now.
Yep.
You're going to like that a lot better than left. So we got that going for us. But I'd say right now, Cincinnati at 3 is a respectable thing, and I don't think if you think that they should be number 2, we'll see. I don't know, because I do like what I see from my number 2, and my number 2 is nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Let's go.
So I have them at 2, and the reason why I have them at 2 is because I think this year they're built to win. And granted, I have talked in the past, and you know this too, Voldy, about when people were making the comparisons with Josh Allen and Kirk Cousins when we did that like 2 years, 3 years ago, whatever. But now Josh Allen has shown me that like he's that dude, and I give him credit. He's definitely shown his progression, and I think they're ready to win now, especially with the wide receivers they have, Gabe Davis now, Stephon Diggs, our guy, Stephon Diggs, and I think offensively they'll be ready, and I think that loss to KC still stings, it very much stings them, and they want to get back and get over that hump, and I think they definitely can, and I think they will. You lose some defensive guys, but also you got to wonder. I mean, the one thing that I feel like they've always struggled with, Voldy's owners, is what in the world are they doing not having a running game besides Josh Allen, for goodness sake?
Yeah.
I mean, Devin Singletary, I mean, he's not a number 1 back, no offense. But who do they add? James Cook from Georgia. Can he be that guy is the big question. So we'll see. We'll see if they can get that going, because they will need that. I mean, you can pass all you want. You got to be able to run. The Bengals were able to do that, and the Rams did find a way somehow. Speaking of which, number 1, I got to give respect where respect is due, the L.A. Rams. Why do I have the Rams at number 1? Well, they won the Super Bowl last year. That's one. But also, you look at their offseason, and OBJ tears his ACL, right? Okay, that puts a damper on things. But if you really think about it, they added Allen Robinson, right? So you have Allen Robinson, you have Cooper Kupp, who just did wonders for this team this past year. And the run game, you still have Cam Akers. They really like Cam Akers, and I think they're going to utilize Cam Akers a lot. But I also think that they're, with losing Kevin O'Connell, they'll still have that type of offense, but I think that's going to be tweaked somewhat. And Matthew Stafford, I mean, I give him a lot of credit, for just doing what needs to be done, because defensively they're set. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, it's insane how well they've done with those two superstars, those cornerstones of that defense, and be able to just cause havoc. And, Aaron Donald, willed that team to a Super Bowl. And Matt Stafford made some throws as well. So, but yeah, they're number 1. I think we got to give them credit where credit is due. The Rams, I think are the number 1 team right now, unless they lose to Buffalo. If they lose to Buffalo tomorrow, well then, Buffalo slides up, right? So we'll see. I don't know. I think it's going to be a heck of a game, though. I'll say that. But just for the people that are tuning in, too, make sure you do your MinneZona picks. Can't stress that enough. So.
Yep.
All right. Voldy, what are your thoughts, my good sir?
I want to know, what the hell are you smoking when you got San Francisco better than like 5 other teams that should be in this Infinity rankings? There are at least 5 other teams better than San Francisco right now, and I can name at least 3 of them, right? You don't even have the Chargers on here. Like, where's the disrespect for Justin Herbert and the squad, man? Like, what's that all about?
Well,
look at all the upgrades the Chargers have done. They've gotten their boy in Herbert, the Canadian sensation, even though he's from America. But I have no respect for Justin Herbert, so I call him Justin Herbert. They get Khalil Mack. They get Mr. INT, J.C. Jackson from the Patriots. Derwin James just got his bag as well. That defense is loaded. And the offense, well, they're nothing to sniff at either. With they've got and Justin Herbert, and they've got Keenan Allen as well. They've got some guys on that end too to compete. Denver. Let's talk about Denver. Broncos Nation. Let's ride. With Russell Wilson and the squad too. Like I don't understand how that AFC West is gonna be a dog fight.
Yeah, it is.
Especially, let's not forget the upgrades that they've had with Vegas and the Raiders too, with Derek Carr getting Devontae Adams and a couple upgrades on the defensive side too. That AFC West is going to be an absolute battle all year long, and all matchups are going to look great throughout the year too. I mean, there's a lot of teams in front, but the fact that you had San Francisco, 4 or something like that?
4. You
had them up that high above those teams right there. That's just a slap in the face right there. I think, if anything, it should be an honorable mention for San Francisco. They should be 7 right now, if anything. No Green Bay, no Vikings, no Denver, no Chargers. There's no Raiders. None of those guys are up there. Don't sleep on the Saints. Don't sleep on the Falcons either. I mean, there's a lot of problems I got with this top 5, but you at least got the top 3 right. Kansas City, yeah, sure. Yeah. They're on there. That's fine. 6 is a solid spot for them. 6 is probably the higher end of their average of where people would probably put them right now. Tampa Bay, you know what? There's a few ends. Yeah, like you talked about with the defensive backfield, their front 7's going to be solid through. Their offensive line's got a couple question marks with a few big injuries. They found a way to reload offensively. Julio Jones going to be filling into that Antonio Brown situation, minus the craziness, and hopefully at that point the craziness in total to be a guy to stretch the field a little bit and provide a little bit of levity. They hopefully get a little bit more help in the running game this year with playoff Lenny and obviously Rojo III, Keyshawn Vaughn in the mix too there out of that backfield with Tom Brady and crew leading the charge with first-year head coach for that squad in Todd Bowles too. I have no problem with the top 3 in the Rams at the top, followed by Bills, Buffalo. The Bills at 2, and then who'd you have at 3 again? Bengals. I couldn't remember. Yeah, Bengals. Yep. Bengals too. Yeah, that's I think that's a little bit high, but you know what? They go out, they get some guys for the offensive line, protect between the guards and the tackles too for Joe Burrow. He stays healthy, he stays clean. He's going to find a way to stretch the field to get it to his guys there, work in that running game a little bit more. I think they could definitely make a serious run. That AFC North, though, no Ravens. Let's talk about that. No even mention about the Ravens, too, with Lamar and crew. I mean, this is going to be this is a make it or break it season for Lamar in Baltimore because he's at the end of his contract right now, and he's looking at the other end. And this is going to be an audition tape for a lot of people this season, especially after he's beefed up this offseason too. No mention of the Ravens. Man, this is a stacked league that we've got going right now. A lot of teams really good right now. It's very interesting to see. The rankings probably going to need to be reviewed here in a few weeks.
Well,
just a little bit.
All right. Well, I respect that because, LA, the Chargers, they add those guys, but, they had some needs that they did address. I think with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, that's going to be a terror. I think you can't sleep on that because you want to try to keep up with KC. You want to try to keep up. Denver's getting better. Russell gets over there. But Denver, I still think has a lot to prove. I don't think they're they're on the infinity gauntlet there. But the Chargers, I like the offense, but sometimes, I don't know if you've noticed, but, they have the high-powered moments, but then all of a sudden they just somehow, some way, they just play flat. They did that they did that a little bit against the Vikings too. So that's what I look at with the Chargers. The Ravens, defensively, they're still not the same. They lost a lot of guys. I mean, Marcus Peters, they lost early last year. They lost a bunch of running backs, but now those guys are coming back, and I think they're worthy of at least top 10 too. So the Raiders, I still think need to prove a little bit because you have a new coach come in. Granted, I think that they'll be okay with Devontae and Carr. I think it's a slight downgrade from Rodgers, in all due respect. But they're probably top 10 too. With the Vikings, let's wait till Sunday. Let's just wait till Sunday. But Green Bay is a different story. I mean, that they're not on the gauntlet whatsoever. I didn't even consider it. I was just like, nope, because they got a lot to prove. So, yeah. I'm just gonna quick throw them up here again. So I have the Chiefs at 6, the Buccaneers at 5, the Niners at 4. What controversial, but that's okay. Number 3, Bengals, Buffalo Bills at 2, and the LA Rams at 1. So we're doing pretty good. I mean, like you said, this is going to change. Like we said, this is going to change. I mean, San Fran could probably drop, but we'll see how that goes. But we're excited for the NFL season, and I hope you guys are too. Make sure you do your pick'ems, and we're looking forward to tomorrow for one, and also Sunday. So, and there's some slate of college football games too. So make sure you check that out. All right, that'll do it for Infinity Rankings this week. A little bit different taste to it, but hey, we like it. It wasn't too shabby. So, all right, we got a lot of ARAs this week. We're going back to some wild hockey. Haven't done that in a while. We're also looking at some there's some NFL talk too. There's been some guys listed as week 1 starters for QBs, things like that. And then Pat Bev news. Well done on that. Let's go. I'm stoked for that. So, all right, let's get it going. What's up? Absurd or approved?
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, the Minnesota Wild are making some moves here this offseason. Billy G and the boys are making big boy moves here this offseason, adding a little bit of depth to their lineup with the addition of recently they did sign Anaheim Ducks center Sam Steele to a 1-year, $825,000 contract to provide some depth at a spot that need a little bit of help over the last few years, at least depth-wise as well. Did play 68 games last year for the Ducks, 6 goals, 14 assists. Nothing really to, write home about, but not afraid to get in the way. 27 block shots, career high in that mark. Has bounced around a little bit, 4 seasons since getting drafted in 2016 as well by the Ducks. Then the Wild also decided to offload a little bit a well-traveled player in Dmitry Kulikov, who's turning 31. Well, he decides to the Wild, I should say, ship him over to the Ducks in return for future consideration. So nothing official as of yet, the terms of that trade as of last report, since the trade did take place back on August 31st. So about a week ago since that trade did take place. A couple of not earth-shattering moves here for the Wild to start off the offseason, and at least looking at a few guys getting started here. Training camp about a month away now at this point for that, and even games get started here, and I think just over 6 or 7 weeks too. Is it absurd or approved these moves with the prospect of the season still coming up here this month?
Yeah, I'd say it's got my stamp of approval. I mean, Billy G knows what he wants, and I think that's what he got. Kulikov, I think a lot of people had question marks about towards the end of the season. I think it was good to have an extra defenseman, but sending him off to the Ducks, I think, was one of those things where I think they could have like one of the younger guys start to come up, hopefully, and I think they do have that. But this Steele guy, I'm not sure. I don't know much about him, but if they're adding another center, that just kind of tells you that they're trying to add more talent there, and especially because I think Billy G knows that's a need. And I think if you're the Minnesota Wild right now, you're setting something up to maybe making a trade or something like that. I don't know. It could mean a million things. It's a weird weird deal kind of with the NHL because it's like you never know what could happen. And Billy G could get aggressive. He could just be like sitting back, I'm good, man. So that's very possible. But yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say about it. But it's got my stamp of approval. I hope Steele is helping out with the Wild here towards as we get the season going. So yeah, let's go. Give it a shot. I mean, it's low risk, hopefully high reward here for our Minnesota Wild. So yeah, stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
I think the Wild are making a move here, of course, for the perception of depth, while also setting up for a big move. I think unloading a little bit of cap space as well. That's going to be a big factor because I don't know how much money it said that Kulikov was due for this season, but it looks like that takes off 1 year to $2.25 million, and then you signed Sam Steele for under $1 million too. I think that's going to be a sign to quite possibly make a big move, or at least maybe go after whoever is still out there on the free agent market to fill a big position for the Wild. You get a center that's going to be maybe third, fourth line guy, maybe muck his way up and maybe get some special team play with maybe some penalty kill opportunities, or at least get the low lines going and provide some energy too. That's going to be a big part, I think, with the signing of Sam Steele, if he makes the team out of training camp too. So I think this is kind of a laying low in the weeds kind of thing before the Wild decide and pounce and make a big splash with the offseason still going on here. I think this could be a sign of things to come. It's got my stamp of approval.
24 years old too. I mean, he's a young guy, so we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good. We'll see. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, it was figured out and established here earlier this week, as it is going to be with being named a team captain for his new squad in the Pittsburgh Steelers, that Mitchell Trubisky is the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback for the season opener at the United Bengals coming up Sunday. Now, of course, he was named a team captain on Monday and is listed as the first string quarterback on the team's depth chart, followed by Kenny Pickett at 2, and then Mason Rudolph at 3. But it was actually clarified that was a clerical error on the part of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Apparently, it's Rudolph at 2, and then Pickett at 3, or vice versa. Who knows? It's a bit of a craziness,
kerfuffle.
For lack of a better term, it's a shit show over in Pittsburgh right now with everything going on. But with Mitch Trubisky being named the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is it absurd or approved that Mitchell Trubisky will end the season as the starting quarterback for the Steelers? And should someone else be starting for the Steelers right now?
Well, I've said this numerous occasions about Mitchell Trubisky, and I've called him Trubusky because I believe that he was a bust, and he has proven that he has been a bust. Now, naming him QB1, I think, is the safe bet right now for Pittsburgh, because they're under the impression that they don't want to rush Kenny Pickett, right? Mason Rudolph, I mean, he's just there, right? He's just going to help do whatever. He's just going to, he'll fill in, he'll do what, X, Y, and Z. But I also look at it and think, well, he was with the Bills last year. Granted, Trubisky, I think, learned a lot and things like that. So I think you give him the shot. But to answer your question, Voldy, I don't think that he's going to last the whole season. And the reason why I do say that is because I think there's a lot of people that have eyes on Trubisky. I mean, any bad game that he has, those Steeler fans are gonna pounce on Mike Tomlin and the coaching staff, and it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how he handles that when things start to go awry. Because I mean, if they're like, oh, it's a clerical error, he's behind Mason Rudolph. I think if it came down to it and they want him to go and he's ready to go, and I think preseason he was fine, he was good. And people are like, well, his hand size isn't great, he's got small. It doesn't matter if he plays well, he's fine, he's good to go. I think it's the safe bet. Do I give it my stamp of approval? Not really. I kind of paint it more towards the Steelers kind of being absurd, being like, oh, it's a clerical error. Technically, Rudolph is the backup. It's like, just put Pickett as the backup and keep Mason Rudolph, at the third spot. I don't know. Mason Rudolph, I haven't been
Doesn't
impressed
matter.
by. But Easy A says, too, it's a coin toss about who is going to be QB1 in Pittsburgh. No one is good. That's true. I mean, there's a lot to prove with Pickett, but I don't know. I'm leaning more towards Pickett at this point. But Trubisky, I think's learned a little bit, so I'll give him credit there. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I like how you said that Mitch Trubisky is the rookie season and another opportunity to make the playoffs there, and the downfall from that gets shipped to Buffalo. And, rides the pine there, but probably learned something on offense. And then, learning behind on the whole quarterback trade as well. That's going to be helpful going into a new franchise. And, this possibly another audition tape for Mitch Trubisky. Maybe another team looking for another quarterback. Well, there's plenty of quarterbacks in Pittsburgh, even with the future of Kenny Pickett. I think it was a safe bet to put Trubisky at 2. Mason Rudolph, I just don't like him as quarterback for some reason. Every time he's on the field, something's going to go wrong. I just look at him and be like, all right, well, something bad's about to happen if he's on the field. Kenny Pickett, look, he's a rookie, had some glimpses in the preseason. Obviously, he's going to be the favorite. He's the hometown Pittsburgh kid, too, played at Pitt on that Antoine Winfield Jr., eligibility, playing 9 years for the Pitt Panthers. And you know what? Is Trubisky going to be the starting quarterback at the end of the season? I don't think so. Whether it's going to be Rudolph or Pickett, we'll see. I just don't think it'll be Trubisky by the end of Week 17.
I agree. And I think at some point they're going to get in the middle of the season, they're going to be like 500 or something, and then they're going to be like, we need a spark. So I think that's what's going to happen. Just as a thought. We'll see. All right, next one.
Got to look at what's their schedule. When's their first bye week? It's got to be like, what, Week 7, Week 8 or something like that?
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up and see, what by that point, if he's going to be a quarterback change or not. But next story here, and a bit of a landmark in the NBA offseason. Well, another big trade coming through as Utah Jazz basically said, all right, we're done. We're out. Sending their star player, Donovan Mitchell, to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland rakes in Donovan Mitchell in a trade with a team that did become official this past Saturday. The Utah Jazz also get not only Donovan Mitchell, they get Lauri Markkanen and rookie Ochai Agbaji, along with Colin Sexton. That's who the Jazz are going to be getting in return as well. 3 unprotected first-round picks, 2025, 2027, and 2029, and 2 team pick swaps in 2026 and 2028 for Donovan Mitchell. So basically, in total, let's see here, 3, 4, 7 for 1 switch, basically. No, 6 for 1 switch with Donovan Mitchell in return for those 3 players, 3 unprotected picks. So almost an 8-2 switch in total for the Cleveland Cavaliers that they give up for 1 player in the likes of Donovan Mitchell. Now, it's very interesting to see now the fact that the East Coast in the Eastern Conference, even more loaded than usual now with Donovan Mitchell playing in Cleveland for this upcoming season. So looking at this in total, is it absurd or approved? Are the Cavaliers now a contender in the Eastern Conference with Donovan Mitchell in the fold for the Cavs?
Well, I think people forget, too, that the Cavs have a young team. And they're a pretty good young team. And you add Donovan Mitchell to that young team, and I think that's going to come – they're going to become a contender. But I don't think they're going to get to the finals or anything like that. I think they're definitely a playoff team. I'll put it like that because, Cleveland, I think, has needed a spark ever since, LeBron left. We all know that. We all know how that turned out and things like that. But now that you add the Spider Mitchell, It just kind of shows you, like, the Cavs are building something here, and I think that there's a future with Mitchell with the Cavaliers, and I don't think they're done yet. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I'd say I think it's got my stamp of approval that they're a contender, but I think they got to add more pieces. I think you have to at this point. You got to add more playmakers, and I think they will. The only thing I could foresee them coming up short is if he's doing all the work. I think that's very possible with a superstar caliber player like that. I think you got to add another piece to it. And I think the Jazz are just selling everybody. Right. Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell. You name it. It's a fire sale. So they're rebuilding. But, I think they're a contender. They're a playoff contender. They're not a finals contender. I will put it like that. But I think that's another team to watch out in the West for. So keep your eyes open. So, stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I found this very interesting that Donovan Mitchell wanted to go to a team in the Eastern Conference with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm sure that he had some say in the deal, but at the same time, team wants to trade you. They're going to find somebody to put you. And Eastern Conference, that's very well loaded. Of course, the defending Eastern Conference champs and the Boston Celtics. You've got the Nets that are looking to come back, the 76ers as well. Who knows what the Heat are going to do this year? Who knows what the Pelicans are going to be like with Zion and crew. Who knows what the Charlotte Hornets are going to be with new number LaMelo Ball and everything too. That's 6-7 teams right there. And last time I checked, only one can go to the NBA Finals from the Eastern Conference. I find it very interesting. I think, like you said, if he's doing all the work, it's going to be one of those, one guy's doing all the work, and we'll see what the results may fall. If he has to put up 40, 50 points a night and come down and lose by 10, 15, that's the way it's going to be. I think they'll definitely sneak in, maybe get themselves into a playoff play-in game, if anything, or who knows, maybe they might get a 5-6 seed. We'll see how that plays out. But are they a contender in the East? I don't think so. They'll definitely find a playoff spot for sure.
All right. Yeah, I think that's the best place right now for them. All right, we're going to stay with the NBA. Voldy, next one.
Yeah, as much as I love talking about the NBA, I don't. But, of course, we got to keep an eye out for our boy Pat Bev. Bev and his new team, the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, no love lost between Pat Bev and Russell Westbrook in the past, as well as, the two have had a very tumultuous relationship, we'll say that, with some words here and there. But, you know what? Training camp, workouts and everything seem to be going all right, as Pat Bev was, just finishing a workout and was making sure that he was going to do his media obligations. But Russell Westbrook had to deliver an assist to his new teammate, make sure that he was doing all right, threw him a towel, and even throughout the set, and Pat Bev even throughout first dime of the season there from Russell Westbrook. So, you know what? Things looking all right. Pat Bev quoted as saying, super excited about how the relationship between him and Russell Westbrook are panning out here in the first few practices, first few workouts of the year for him and the new squad too. So is it absurd or approved? Can Pat Bev and Russell Westbrook work together enough, along with LeBron James, to get the Lakers back in the playoffs this season?
It's a great question because they struggled a lot. They had a lot of injuries, granted. We all get that. But I think you need to add more, a guy that's going to give you that needed boost. And I think that is with Pat Bev. We saw it this past year. It's a bummer that, the Wolves had to let him go. But at the same time, he goes to the Jazz. Then he goes to the Lakers, which is fine. Not a big deal. But with this relationship between him and Westbrook, they have to have bygones be bygones at this point. It's your teammates now, and I think they're approaching this the right way. I don't know, maybe behind closed doors they just can't stand each other, and they're doing this for media attention. I don't think that's the case. I think Pat Bev knows, look, we're here to do a job. We're here to, win games, and I think we can do that if we're working together. So I like the way that that they're approaching this. Do I think that they'll make it into the playoffs? With Pat Bev in the fold, I think it's possible. I really do think it's possible with Pat Bev. If they stay healthy, if Russell Westbrook understands that, he's not the first option. I think that's something that he still has yet to get in his head. But I think that's something to make note of at this point. But I think they can. I think they probably will, especially when you have LeBron James with you too. And I think, him and LeBron will be on good terms and everything like that. He's not going to cause problems. He's actually going to, he's going to work his tail off like we saw here in Minnesota. And we wish him nothing but the best, but not against the Wolves. So hopefully we'll get it done. Yeah, I think they're going to coexist, and I think they'll be nice to each other, and we'll be good to go. So stamp of approval from me. Voldy, what do you got?
I think it's one of those situations they can work together if they stay out of each other's way and only acknowledge each other when they absolutely have to. Because we know Pat Bev, he gets under guys' skins, rubs a few guys the wrong way, even some of his teammates too, at least in the past. But he's one of those you love to play with, hate to play against. And, Russell Westbrook's been on the other end for a good number of years in the Western Conference, whether it's been with the Lakers and then also with Houston and also with Oklahoma City, while Pat Bev, been with the Clippers for a good number of years. And I think it's one of those that, Pat Bev's going to continue to get under guys' skin, and then Russell's going to continue to do what he does is, dish the ball, find the points where he can, and contribute to the team. Having LeBron there, being the middle, being the facilitator of it all, that's going to help a little bit. It's one of those where, again, as long as they stay out of each other's way, I think things are going to be fine. They acknowledge each other, look after each other, at least when they have to. I think things will be just fine. And that team, too, again, Western Conference, no shortage of contenders, too, with the Lakers and obviously defending champion Golden State. There's definitely going to be a shortage of playoff spots for those teams, but I think in the Western Conference, but I think the Lakers will be able to get back in for sure.
Yep. I wouldn't count them out either. I think when you have LeBron and Pat Bev on your team, they're going to will you to where you want to go. So we'll see. All right. The last one, Voldy.
Well, it looks like the Chicago Bears might be on the move as we go back to the NFL. The Bears released their conceptual plans this past week, actually earlier this week, I should say, for the development of a 326-acre Arlington Park property, which would be including the construction of a domed stadium. Now, of course, the regulations and everything that's leading to the possible end of the lease with Soldier Field right in downtown Chicago is something that's been talked about the last couple of years with the ownership group that the Bears have, and they want out of town as much as they can. But the organization is calling for, quote, one of the largest development projects in Illinois state history, as they envision building a multi-purpose entertainment district anchored by, quote, a new best-in-class enclosed stadium providing Chicagoland with a new home worthy of hosting global events such as the Super Bowl, the college football playoff, and also the Final Four. Now, this is also, the main purpose of the facility. Well, it's got to be the home of the Chicago Bears, potentially. So where they would be building is about 45 minutes from Chicago and from Soldier Field currently, and not really near the practice facility, as the Bears took a step forward with leaving historic. They purchased the Bears this past September, I should say, took a step forward, leaving historic Soldier Field when they signed a new purchase agreement of $197 million and sale agreement of what was a property of the Arlington Heights, which was a track for thoroughbred racing since 1927 when it was put up for sale by Churchill Downs Incorporated. So the groundwork is being laid for this new proposed stadium as well. But at the end of the day, is it going to be something worth looking into? Is it absurd to approve the Bears excuse me, if this project does come through, is it absurd to approve that the Bears would have the best stadium in the NFL if and when the Dome is built in Arlington?
Well, they're just riding our coattails for a dome, I think, for the Minnesota Vikings. I think it's absurd. I don't think they're going to have the best. I mean, it's very early on and everything, but, like, it sounds really extensive, and they very well could be, but I think it's hard to beat what you have in LA. It's hard to beat what you have in Dallas. Oh, it's definitely hard to what you have in US Bank Stadium. But especially if the team's not up to par, which I don't think they will be this year. But that's another thing to factor in. I mean, I think if they build this dome, it'll be extravagant and everything like that. But,
right.
And you got to come up with the money, too. And you got to come up with good, people that know what they're doing. And I think you will. But I don't think they'd be the best. I don't think they'd be the best stadium in the NFL. But if it's built, I'm sure it's going to look great and everything like that. And Soldier Field, it's seen better days. It's seen better days. But, I'd probably say it's absurd. I don't think they would if that comes. And if it doesn't, well, stick with Soldier Field, I guess. But, yeah, there's something about it. Maybe if they change to this new stadium, maybe the Vikings play better there. I don't know. So hopefully that would be the case. But, yeah, I think it's absurd. Voldy, what do you think?
The fact that the Bears are probably going to get a new stadium before the Washington Commanders do is going to be hilarious within itself because of the fact that just there's a lot of thoughts that come to mind with this. That being one of them is the fact that they're going to get a new stadium before Washington does, which is literally falling apart and almost killing people in the process and trying to give them E. coli with pipes bursting on everybody too. The next thing that comes to mind, I just had it in my head too. Can we talk about the fact that we've gone from the point, especially when the Cowboys Stadium opened up, AT&T Stadium with their giant screen, that opened up. That was the standard for the NFL.
Yeah.
And that is nothing compared now, like SoFi Stadium that just opened up too, with their giant wraparound scoreboard too, just how much more and more extravagant these stadiums have got. I just want to see how this would come to be and how it's going to look, even when they do have the domed stadium. I don't know if it's going to be the same like the Metrodome. Like, God, I hope not.
No.
Probably more of the enclosed roof and everything, like US Bank Stadium as well. But at the end of the day, too, especially if the Bears are going to be there, like I said, you can polish a turd all you want. At the end of the day, still a turd. And, the Bears playing in a dome stadium, that's just putting a nice polished sheen on that turd that is the Chicago Bears. I think would they have the best stadium? No, I don't think they will. I think it's completely absurd.
All right. Well, there you go. I don't think they will. It's because it's the Bears, I'll just put it like that. So, all right, great job with area this week, Voldy. A lot of good stuff, especially NFL, NBA, NHL, all that, all the sports that we have. All right, we made it through a show here, and Shield shoutouts. We got some Shield shoutouts. It's been a week. A lot going on with Shield shoutouts, so let's get it going because it's time for some Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shouting out tonight?
Well, before we get to the one that I've got listed on here as well, a few of them just coming quick off the cuff. Of course, happy retirement to Sue Bird. Her career came to an end, unfortunately, without getting another WNBA title with the Seattle Storm. So her career is coming to an end. Multi-national champion, World Euro League champion as well. Team USA gold medalist, 5-time gold medalist as well, playing in the WNBA for almost, I think, 20 years, 3 different decades. So congrats to Sue Bird on her fantastic career. Serena Williams also retiring as well after she fell in the U.S. Open too, and one of the GOATs of sports as well in Serena Williams. Let's not forget that she is definitely on that pedestal and on that Mount Rushmore of greatest of all times, and she definitely needs to be recognized for that, what she's contributed to tennis and also for sports in general. A couple other things quick come to mind. Yadier Molina just became the second all-time most games started at the catching position as well. He's in his farewell tour. I know Albert Pujols is chasing 700 home runs. Got less than a month now to get 5 more, and I think he's definitely on pace to get that. He's sitting at 695 as of last check as well. Quick shout out as well to former Concordia St. Paul Golden Bear, now Minnesota Twin Louis Varland, who made his major league debut today in New York in game 1 of that doubleheader too. Pretty sure that guy faced Southwest when I was in college when we were
right.
in school down there. I know him and his brother Gus. The Varland name was no stranger to Southwest, especially with Coach Lunch McKenzie in the squad there for the Golden Bears. So that's a pretty nice feeling there too, to see a St. Paul kid get the start for the Twins as well. But I do want to finish off Shield shoutouts here tonight. Unfortunately, some sad news in the world. Unfortunately, a classmate of mine did pass away at the end a couple of weeks ago. His name was Brady Fox. Brady Thomas Fox was a good kid. Sadly, he decided to take his own life. Or at least that's a complete insinuation. I shouldn't have said that as well. But he was a fun-loving, charismatic kid, a young man who loved sports, loved life, had great friendship, family as well. The Savage family, the Fox family as well, friends, cousins. Kept in touch with a lot of those people. Got to meet up with some of them about a month ago for our high school reunion. Unfortunately, Brady wasn't there. At the time, he is a physician's assistant. He was going to be a doctor as well out in Colorado. Unfortunately, his life came to an end, a couple of weeks ago. And one of the big things, too, is obviously mental health, a big issue, and one of which we want to address, too. And I know that a lot of it's been talked about in recent months, too. But I know that a lot of my friends, a lot of family as well, with the Fox family, there are a lot of questions, a lot of concerns too. And I just want to put my plea out there to people. If you need help, if you're struggling day-to-day life, whether it's something that's been going on for days, weeks, months, even years as well, know that there are people out there to help you. If you just need to talk to somebody, please do. Please reach out to somebody and talk about what you're going through. I know that everybody is going through something, and just know that there are people out there that want to hear from you. They want to know that you are a valued person in your life, in somebody's life, in the world as well. Please, there's always somebody out there wanting to help you and to hear from you. I hate to end the show on this, but it's a great message that we need to put out there. Brady Fox, great kid. Love you, man. I wish you were still here with us. And that's going to do it for Shield Shoutouts this week.
Well done. Well said, Voldy. Absolutely. Like you said, talk to somebody. You haven't, if it's too much and things like that, talk to someone. So, absolutely. My thoughts and prayers are going with that family right now. So, absolutely. All right. Well, great job with Shield Shoutouts this week, Voldy. We got our first show from West St. Paul off the ground. It was a little rocky, but hey, you know what? We got through it, and we'll make adjustments like we always do. So that's how things are going. But Voldy, I got to ask you something. What's the jersey you're wearing? 34. What do you got?
I'll give you one guess. Remember the legendary running back duo Smash and Dash from Carolina?
It's not Steven because he was 48. D'Angelo Williams.
Nope.
No.
D'Angelo Williams. Yes, sir.
That's what I thought it was.
Him and Jonathan Stewart. Smash and Dash, baby.
Smash
Classic.
and Dash.
I don't think I've worn this on the show yet.
No.
I think it's been at least 4 or 5 years since
I've
worn this one. I just looked in the closet. You know what? Let's see if this thing still fits. And lo and behold, bam, D-Lo. 34, baby blue, classic. It's a gem.
I like it. Perfect, man. I like that a lot. Make sure, if you find that jersey, someone else find it, do it. So, all right, we usually end the show with the same thing. I don't have any props, but you're going to have to take my word for it. We've got merch, people. We have merch. We've got stickers, $2 for the small ones, $3 for the big ones. Just be ready because we might be sending some out to you if you do our pick'em. So make sure you do the pick'em. You might get it free as well. And as Voldy has in his hand right there, are hats. I know some people have engaged interest. We will get them to you. You just need to talk to us. We'll take care of it for you. $20. $5 shipping. And also we have our shirts, our 5 out of 5-star shirts, $20, $5 shipping. They're fantastic. We still have limited edition left as well, and check out that with Voldy. Voldy's got it up, raring to go for you. Stay in the zone, like we always say. So we appreciate that. Limited edition still available and whatnot. So make sure you check those out as well. And thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Tyler Knutson, Crown Rental. And again, check out our guy, Will Rattel. He's posting stuff left and right. Our guy, Will Rattel. So claps out to him. Check him out at www.w2performance.com. And then check out Jack's Junkyard, Jack O'Keefe. Breaking into the League with Sam Gabrielli, Ryan Martin. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And then make sure you check out the Victorious P.O.D. with Ryan Walters and Jack Vickers. So they got stuff going on. Fantasy football is upon us. Starting tomorrow, technically, is with our first game. So we're looking forward to that. But great job, as always, Voldy, 121 in the books. And, we'll just keep trucking along here, having a lot of fun.
There we go.
And, Skull Vikes on Sunday. And, make your picks. I can't say it enough. Make your picks. If you want to win free stuff, just make them. We got to do it. So, all right, as always, remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.